Are you feeling lost in time, maybe lost in space? Are old people or patterns popping up out of the blue? Are you feeling a sense of twists and turns? Are you also feeling kind of dull but hopeful somehow all at the same time? Is everything just way too much? Hi, I'm Amy. You're listening to Astrology Intuition with Amy Lynn. What I do is I meet you here every new moon and every full moon to discuss my intuitive take on the astrology for the next couple of weeks ahead until the next lunation. So here we're looking at the new moon in Pisces, exact the evening of March 18th, 2026. What I like to do is start with the broad energy, like what's actually happening and what we can do with it. I bring in my background as a psychotherapist and how to use this energy for growth, for personal reflection, for choosing your path, choosing your reality so that you can show up in more of your wholeness. Be here in your wholeheartedness to hopefully create a better and higher consciousness in humanity on the planet. Once we go over the big energies, I will do a portion at the end that's a little more tedious with the precise placements, the dates, the times, the zodiac degrees of the planets for those who follow astrology more closely. So, what I would suggest is just sit back and listen at the beginning. And then if you want to get your planner or your notebook out at the end, that's a great chance to take notes. Speaking of which, I have this amazing planner that I make for you every quarter. There's a new one. So the first 3 months of the year, we're just completing that first planner, and I have a brand new one out on Amazon. It's $28, and you can find the link in my show notes here. It basically is an intuitive guidance through all of the energy week by week. It calls out all of the lunations, the new moons, the full moons, as well as the first and last quarter moons. And it helps you work with the lunar pattern, the shorter month to month lunar energy, like we do here on the podcast, from one new moon until the next new moon. We talk about the longer 6 month pattern where there's a pairing. There's always a pair of a new moon and a full moon in the same zodiac sign, 6 months apart. This is a constant pattern. And then there's something really special that I love to teach people to work with. It's a very powerful manifestation tool, which is working with the lunar gestational cycle. It's a longer 27-month period where we start with the new moon, and then every 9 months, there's a gestational period where the moon then lands in that same sign again. And first, there's a quarter moon, and then 18 months after the new moon, there's a full moon, and then 9 more months after that, at the 27-month mark, there is a final resolution, a closure with that energy with the last quarter moon. So my planner guides you through all of that with exactly where they're all happening. And I also bring in what I feel are going to be the most major transits and put them into a calendar. I have monthly overviews, I have themes for you to work with, suggested intentions, and then all kinds of information in there about how to actually work with zodiac energies and houses. And it's a whole situation. It's a really great way to work with astrology. If you're listening to this podcast and we're well into the second quarter, it's not too late to grab your planner. It always applies. In fact, I think it's helpful to learn astrology backwards, like looking at the planner and seeing what's happened and looking back at your life and what was actually happening, just as much as it's important to be in the energy now and looking a little bit forward. So let's jump into the chart of this moon, and I'm going to read you the energies that I'm seeing here. If you're with me on video, you'll see I have the chart pulled up. And as it's been recently, because all the planets are, for the most part, packed together tightly on one side of the chart, every time we pull an event chart this year, there's just this weight or this motion toward one area of the chart. And where this is especially um, just chock full as in Pisces and Aries. There's so much happening at the end of the zodiac wheel, which is Pisces, and the beginning of the zodiac wheel, which is Aries. So there's this constant feeling of something ending and something beginning. And it's just like this looping, constant. I mean, always every ending is a beginning, and every beginning will have an ending, and there's always the cycling in life. But we're just getting this in the planetary transits, like nonstop blast of something's gotta finish out, something's gotta end, something new is coming. And it feels like we're constantly trying to regulate the space of kind of what to even do with that. Like how do you make a choice? How do you know what you can kind of trust and expect what's real here when there's still so many things closing out that we aren't yet aware are closing out. So it's definitely this new era, the very early verge of a new era kind of energy that's here. I do not blame you if that alone is making you feel flatlined or exhausted. It's a lot to carry and hold that. On the collective, I think it's a positive thing to feel the sense that something could be different. But we're also getting how the old paradigm is still alive and well. The old paradigm of war and global powers and secrecy and all these things that are happening in our collective right now globally, it hasn't ended. Hate hasn't ended. But there's this also surge of so many new and creative and powerful elements of humanity showing up, rising up. Um, I think you can feel how there's that on the verge energy. That's what I want to just keep saying. We're just on the verge. I feel like I've been saying that for, I don't know, probably a couple of years now, but really especially now. You may remember back in late February, we had both Saturn and Neptune having just started the zodiac wheel again in early Aries at the 0 degree point have a conjunction, and we're still really feeling the reverberation of what is going to be this new era. Those are outer planets that spend a great deal of time, years in one sign. So they kind of hang out there and reshape it, especially Neptune, which will be in Aries until 2039. So we're still at the just very, very beginning stages of getting an understanding of what this new Earth energy, this higher consciousness in humanity, what this could be. So I just want to say to you, like, keep the faith, keep going, see the world through the light of what it could be. Be in the signal of love yourself and bring peace, harmony, and love out into the world. Be kind, take care of your people, do good things for humans. Do not fall into traps of fear. Do not fall into traps of self-righteousness. Those are going to be the downfall of what keeps us in these old energies longer. So, your task is to seek for love and be in love and a loving space, no matter how triggered you are, no matter how tired you are, keep showing up. I think you're going to get a kind of wind behind your sails, or I don't know how to say that right. There's a surge of independent, individualized kind of self energy that comes every time we have the spring equinox and the Aries equinox, which is coming up on the 20th here. And I think that we're going to be able to take the tail end of this feeling of being just exhausted and waiting and not knowing, and this kind of the tail end of how Pisces season feels has that quality to it. And it just makes us kind of peace out or, scroll or binge watch or whatever we're doing with our unconscious selves. And I do think that there's going to be a really strong surge of turning back on into our self energy and having new momentum. This is a huge energy by the end of this week. There's a lot of shadow stuff still hanging out. For the purposes, shadow is always here, by the way. Shadow does not mean bad. It just means what we're not seeing. And that's in regard to the self and in regard to collective energies as well. So, what you can do is work with your own shadow energy, meaning what you have not yet explored within yourself. It's like a fun, exciting, this is me as a therapist. Of course, I think this is fun and exciting to look at all the dark corners that haven't, where you haven't shined the light, where you haven't paid attention, and just see what's there. You can get that through dreams. You can get that through art making. You can get that through doing actual shadow work, meditations with that. Um, but really, what we're talking about is bringing more of yourself into the light so that you are more aware of yourself and able to keep yourself from being triggered into fear or self-righteousness or projection or blame, like all these ugly frequencies that just keep us on the same hamster wheel of all the problems that we have here in the world. So, and I'm seeing that in the chart, if you're with me on the video, all the planets, I pulled this chart for where I am here in Colorado, and all the planets are in the shadow side of the chart off to the right, just kind of pulling focus there. This does have the sensation to me like things are still coming up and out, like a lot more of the darkness and the like I just want to say evil, like the evil energies that have been allowed, protected here on the planet, um, are going to be coming to light. Well, what else do I want to tell you here? There's so much to say about April, and we're not there yet. Okay. We're still in March. Like, let's enjoy the fact that we still have what, 10-ish more days in the month of March. And we're just starting to enter spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. The equinox is on the 20th this year. It's the same day that Mercury stations direct. Yay. There's such a forward momentum. April is charged and full steam ahead kind of energy, but we have a little bit of time that might, you might have an impatience in you, but if you can orient to there's not going to be enough time to do all the things really soon. It's going to be an everything all at once kind of energy in a matter of like a week. If you can understand that, this is like, I think a lot about like the period of time before you have a baby and you sort of, you're exhausted and you're tired and you just want to put your feet up, but there's like so much to do and you're trying to get ready, but like the baby's not here yet and you don't really know when it's coming and what to expect. But the best thing you can really do in that time frame is to just be present to yourself because pretty soon your attention and your energy is going to be completely hijacked by something else, someone else. That's, you know, maybe a bad metaphor, but the idea is you have a chance to settle in your own system here before it's going to be much harder to grab the time to do that. There's a lot, if you're someone who really can connect to higher dimensions and galactic energies, being your higher mind, your higher consciousness, there's a lot of planetary connection right now to Sirius, our spiritual sun, and to the Pleiades, which is like a benevolent constellation of there's beings who support us here on the earth. Pleiadians especially connect from how I interpret them is to be very much in the spirit of unconditional love, kind of the love of a good enough parent, that kind of energy. They very much want, like, have a feeling of wanting what's best for us in the best, most loving way, and a very generous, generative kind of energy. Sirius has the energy of something so much bigger than yourself, and that there's this spiritual, universal oneness that's beyond anything we can understand here on this planet. And so both of those bigger galactic energies are really big right now. I think I talked to you before about whenever Mercury is retrograde, which it has been for the last few weeks, we get a chance to slow down our interoceptive senses and all of our clairs. So the ability to perceive through extrasensory abilities, which all of you definitely have. So if you've had a little more intuitive hits, some psychic knowing, pure, unfiltered telepathy, I would be expecting that to be coming through for you right now. I think that this has been kind of a preparation for when Uranus moves into Gemini at the end of April. And we all get this like kind of upgrade in our nervous systems and in our neural pathways to be able to channel energy and information way quicker. It's like a brain upgrade that's kind of slowly starting to happen. Also, if you're tired or your sleep is dysregulated, I think that's part of what's happening there. We still have Jupiter, a benefic, lovely, big, expansive energy hanging out at the middle degrees of Cancer, bringing us, um, like to me, the idea of Jupiter at 15 degrees of Cancer is like the idea that there is enough, that you are enough, that there is enough for everyone, that if we all just shared and took care of each other, there's plenty. Like it's a feeling of like collective plentiness. I don't know if that's a word, but that would be another thing to kind of sit with and hold in meditation and hold in your mind and your imagination is the idea of everyone having enough, what that would feel like. how that would change the world. Let's see. There's is a sense too of there's a lot of North Node stuff happening. Mercury is actually hanging out with the North Node right now as Mercury is stationing and slowing down right around 8-ish degrees of Pisces. The North Node is about our sense of karmic purpose or like the things to me it feels like that which we are compelled to do no matter what our thinking mind tells us. And I mean that like life purpose, direction, what you're called to, that kind of energy. There can be like a fatedness or a destiny kind of quality that could be coming up. So there's a chance you may have even had encounters, experiences, run into people where there's just more of that kind of destiny quality or like, this feels like a little more special or deep, or I've known you a long time, or those kinds of energies might be present. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and switch to the detailed astrology and give you the dates and the degrees and stuff. But this is pretty much the energy until we get to the full moon in Libra on April 1st. We still have this pattern of the month starting with the blast of the full moon, like everything's illuminated right at the beginning of the month. Um, I'm thinking of what else I could help you with as far as working with these energies. I mean, again, just being where your feet are. That's a great way to think about things right now. Giving yourself what your nervous system needs, rest, water, salt, regulation, sleep, like the basic things to really help you over um, what feels like this lull into just I don't know, it's like a race car taking off. It's like, you're sitting in the passenger seat and you don't realize that the driver is going to gun it. And all of a sudden you're like pressed with inertia against the seat behind you. Like it's kind of like, whoa. So, like, what would you need in your system to be ready for someone to hit the accelerator like that? That would be a question for yourself. Let's talk over the energies and where they're happening. Okay. I'm trying to make this more organized for you so that I'm going to tell you first the degrees that are really kind of impacted, like where we're going to feel things, so you can get your chart out and kind of note and highlight those degrees. And then I'll go through more of the why. So the biggest degree points that we're really feeling and working with right now, we're still at that Aries 0 degree point. First few degrees of Aries and all the cardinal signs, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. We're still working with the cardinal signs mid degrees because of that Jupiter hanging out there. So same signs, but mid degrees, let's say 13 to 17 degrees or so. I'm going to say there's also support in the water signs at mid degrees. So we're talking about Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces all getting support mid degrees. I'm seeing it also as lean on that part of your chart. Like if you're feeling like you need a boost, lean on the part of your chart where there's mid degrees of water. What do you have there? What houses do you have there? What planets or points do you have there? And how can you use that for support for yourself? Another area that we have really coming up is the tail end of Earth signs. We have Uranus coming to so this is the last month that we're going to have Uranus at the end of Taurus. So that is big. Uranus is always obvious wherever it goes in the chart. But at the tail end, at the anaretic degree of an Earth sign, we're going to be feeling this. We are going to be feeling this. So the end of the fixed signs into the early like first degree of the mutable signs are all going to be squared by that energy of Uranus starting to move forward. Uranus is going to move into Gemini April 25th, which then puts us into the early degrees of mutable signs where we're going to get that rocking and rolling, awakening kind of energy. So we're talking about 28 degrees to 29 degrees of all of the fixed signs, where that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And then we're talking about 0, 1, maybe 2 degrees of all the mutable signs. It's Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And there's going to be more of a supportive flow in the energies that Uranus is trining, which is going to be first trining Earth and then trining air. So the trines are like there's flow. So whatever Uranus shakes loose, you can go with it. You can just, it's a smooth ride, go with the change when it's happening in late degrees of Earth or very early degrees of air. Oh, I forgot one thing I wanted to tell you. I can't believe I forgot this. The new moon in Pisces, this actually, I can't believe I forgot this because anytime I'm talking about Pisces or Neptune, all my students know this about me. I lose track of things. I'm rambly. I say the wrong words. It's like I really get lost in the Pisces energy of the everythingness and like not being in my body and present, which is like shadow energy of Pisces. Anyway, what was I going to tell you? This is the first Pisces new moon that does not have outer planets working there since 2011, 2010, 2011. Um, that's a big deal, especially the last 3 years. We've had Saturn there, and it's like we just haven't had a Pisces lunar cycle that doesn't involve Saturn, which is heavy duty, you know? So this feels like a freed up Pisces moon. It feels cleansed and clear. It's like clearing your channel, like your central channel. Um, but it's also been like a long time coming, which is another part of that like long journey kind of energy or that like long wait. As Pam Gregory was talking about, I love this metaphor, like the idea of like watching an egg hatch, like literally staring at an egg for days or weeks and all of a sudden it hatches. Like it kind of has that energy of like, what am I waiting for? What am I looking at? What's happening here? But this new moon, I really hope that you can take some time to feel how there's this chance to be free of what Saturn brought to Pisces and free of what Neptune brought to Pisces. There are good things there too, but just more like it's sort of like when you're a kid and your parents leave you home alone for the first time and you can have freedom in the house. You can do what you want to do. Nobody's watching and paying attention. It just has this like um opening, the spacious quality. So I hope you can feel that. And again, new moons are times to plant seeds, to set intentions. There are patterns of this new moon in Pisces connects to the next full moon. So you could do short-term goals that are just for the next couple of weeks till April 1st. You could work with actually the full moon in Pisces that happens in 6 months is also an eclipse. So that's going to be our last eclipse in Pisces for close to a decade. So that's has there's a lot of power in this new moon in Pisces for a lot of reasons, but that's one of them. And then of course there's a lunar gestational cycle that's going to carry through 27 months. So it's going to be going through Gemini season, like June-ish of what's 2 years from now? 2028. It always sounds crazy to say these years, but we're moving through them quickly. So something that has a longer timeline, this is a very powerful new moon to be working with it. This is actually one of the most exciting new moons for me personally this year that I'm working with the energies of. I just feel like there's like a lot of potency that whatever we're putting our energy in with this new moon, seed planting has so much power for manifesting. Okay. I don't even have any planets or points in Pisces, which you might not believe, but anyway, this is why I wrote notes down today. I don't usually write notes for my podcast, but I have my list of transits here, so I'm going to give these to you. The new moon was March 18th at 7:23 p.m. Mountain Time. All these are going to be Mountain Time. March 20th, 8:46 a.m. is when we have the Aries equinox. That is when the sun crosses that 0 degrees Aries point and moves into Aries, starting the whole new astrological year, starting the fresh new round around the zodiac wheel. It's an exciting time. It always brings us fire energy because Aries is fire. It's like has that spring fever kind of like let's get outside vibe to it. But the fascinating thing about the timing this year is that hours later at 1:33 p.m., same day, March 20th, is when Mercury stations direct. So that is like a double whammy of let's go kind of energy. Mercury is going to station direct in Pisces at 8 degrees 29 minutes, essentially conjunct the North Node. So there's is this feeling of like fate or destiny moving forward. I think we're going to really feel that. It's like the difference between Thursday the 19th to Friday the 20th is like literally night and day, like literally. March 21st, just to keep with the forward motion, we have Mars in Pisces trine Jupiter in Cancer at that 15-degree mark and 17 minutes. This is happening at 6:01 p.m. on the 21st. And so that Jupiter is still conjunct Sirius there too. So Mars is the go energy. It's a vehicle, it's our body moving, it's taking action. So this is like moving something forward now that the sun is in Aries, now that Mercury is stationed direct. Now that Mars has this flow from the benefic in one of his most favorite points of the entire wheel, 15 degrees of Cancer, it is like triple whammy go time now. And we might get a little foggy on that by the 22nd, when at 5:18 a.m. Mountain Time, the sun in Aries is conjunct Neptune. But I want you to think about this. This is like the place where the sun has not met up with Neptune since Neptune had its conjunction with Saturn. Now, remember, I talked, I think it was last time, about Saturn kind of like coming out of the medicine journey and just having like a more softer masculine, like a more embodied sacred masculine quality, and Neptune being like the spiritual sorcerer kind of magic energy. And they've been working together at this fresh 0 degree point of the entire wheel. Like, what is possible? What is the new dream of humanity and the earth? And this is the first time that the sun will connect with Neptune since that happened. And the sun it illuminates, it brings things to light, it helps us see and understand and um, get support with. So I'm really, sometimes I look at a Sun Neptune conjunction like I'm probably not going to sleep great that day. Like I've got this sort of like list of like the troublesome areas when we have Neptune. Might be a little dissociated, might be a little doled out. But this one, I feel like, oh, this is like a real renewal kind of energy. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens. If I didn't say it, that's happening at 1 degree and 51 minutes of Aries. A couple days later, on March 25th, I've got three things for you. So lots happening. I feel like there's like this week and then the next week kind of energy here. On March 25th at 2:55 a.m., middle of the night, the sun is conjunct Saturn in Aries at 4 degrees 23 minutes. So this is the same thing I just was talking about, the sun connected with Neptune after that Neptune-Saturn conjunction. Now the sun moves forward and connects with Saturn. So it's sort of like they've come out of their journey, their medicine journey together, or whatever they were doing. And the sun first says, okay, Neptune, let me check in with you. And then a few days later, okay, Saturn, let me see what you have to say. I think the sun is going to be pleasantly surprised to see Saturn in this like sacred masculine energy. And I think it's really beautiful and positive. Um, that energy typically, if it's happening like anywhere in the chart, it can feel like a no, or like, a sh great shadow comes over the land for a second. Like Saturn's kind of like, hang on, be realistic here. Like it has this quality of like pull back. But I just don't feel like it's going to be like that with this positioning and with this timing. We'll see. Let me know. Comment here, reach out to me, tell me how this day goes for you. There's going to be other energies happening, so it might be hard to kind of parse out what's what. Later at 12:16 p.m., the sun in Aries is going to sextile Pluto in Aquarius at 5 degrees and 6 minutes. Pluto has not gotten that deep into Aquarius yet and had this Sun Pluto. This happens every year. The sun is conjunct Pluto once, but it has not happened this far into Aquarius in 249 years. So I think it will be interesting to see what's more deeply transforming. And again, Pluto has that discovery energy to it, which I think is big right now in the collective. So what is going to be discovered? What is going to come to the surface? It has that energy, but there's something um like there's like a softness because of what I've been describing with the Neptune Saturn reinvention and like progression, like higher consciousness. There's something about this discovery energy that feels like it can really lift us up. Like a lot of times discoveries can be alarming or whatever, like, have negative reverberations. But this feels like, I don't know, it's like supportive of the flow forward, is how I'm feeling it. 118, we have a first quarter moon in Cancer. This is going to connect us on that longer lunar gestational cycle that's 27 months. This is the first check-in point. It's a choice point, it's a pivot. It's where do we need to reform here? This goes back to the new moon from last summer in Cancer. This was June 25th, 2025. Look at your notes. Did you make any intentions? Did you start anything then? This is your checkpoint for that. And you can also look at where in your chart you have that. Oh, I didn't write the degrees. Let me get them for you because this is a great way to work with the energies. If you're like, I don't really know, that moon is happening. Oh, see what I mean with the Pisces thing? I'm in the wrong month. Let me get you to March 25th. We're still in March. It's happening around 5 degrees. So look at your chart. Where do you have 5 degrees of Cancer? Is it close to any planets or points or angles? What house do you have there? And that is a place where you probably were working with something new last late June after the summer solstice, kind of around that time. You can kind of give or take a couple of weeks of the actual lunations when we're looking at these longer 27-month periods. But sometimes you'll be surprised. It'll be like exactly that day. You'll look at your planner or check your pictures in your phone or look at your emails or something and be like, oh my gosh, it was that day that I did the thing, said the thing, sent the thing, whatever, made something. And now it's a checkpoint. But the checkpoint is after, like, I love the timing, how the sun, I mean, all the transits I've listed so far in this podcast, all that has to happen first before you get to this place where you're having the check in about the thing you started last June. And it's sort of like, well, you wouldn't have done it that way if you knew what you know now, which could like always be true. But that's like especially true with this pattern of energies. So let yourself recalibrate, be intuitive with it. There's a part of you that's going to be like, but I already bought this class or I already, whatever, like did this, I committed to this thing. Don't worry about it. Go with the flow. That's what Cancer energy says. Go with the flow, trust your gut, trust your intuition, and let this be intuitively led because that's essentially always what Cancer and all the water signs want you to understand and do is live through your intuition. On March 26th at 4:45 p.m., Venus in Aries will be conjunct Chiron. Now, Chiron is another planet that's going to be moving on. So, Chiron is kind of like at these last 5 degrees of Aries for a little while. We'll be moving into Taurus later this summer, toggling back a little bit, and then next year, fully in Taurus. So, this is another one of these like we're at the end of the Chiron and Aries era, and it has been an era. You feel the wound when it's in Aries, when it's in a fire sign. But I'm really looking forward to starting to get to the end of that, even though my Chiron return is coming. Um, but I'm actually looking forward to that. I'll probably talk about that in another podcast. Venus brings a sweetness and a softness. She doesn't love being in Aries. She's not like totally her comfortable self because it's like she doesn't really fit there. It's a masculine sign. It's Mars ruled. But she's here to tend to Chiron. She's here to say, what else is it that your wound needs so that you can get out of victim? I was going to talk about that. Victim energy is like the one of the shadow sides of Pisces energy. So anytime we have Pisces big, like in the new moon, there's more of a propensity to move into victim. Victim energy really lives on the axis of Virgo to Pisces. I mean, it's everywhere. We can find it everywhere, but it's very strong there. So I feel like Venus is sort of like, I'm tending to the wounds, but don't be a victim here. You need to trust your body to heal. You need to trust yourself to be able to shift your consciousness, to have autonomy, to self-initiate, to generate your life from your own life force energy. And that's kind of what she's saying here. But you can look at where in your chart you have 25 degrees of Aries, and that's where Chiron is just kind of hanging at the wound that's there. On March 28th, Saturn in Aries sextiles Pluto. This is great. This is going to be the beginning, kind of the wake up call of the very exciting, super rare, long-term transit that kicks in this summer. It's going to be a minor grand trine that involves Neptune in Aries, Pluto in Aquarius, and Uranus in Gemini, forming a little triangle. But Saturn's going to take a turn here first in that sextile with Pluto. And that's happening at from Aries to Aquarius at 5 degrees, 10 minutes. So that's a positive development. That's taking something we became aware of with that March 25th sun sextile to Pluto, and it's being able to like make a plan or like what's the blueprint here? It has that kind of feel to it. Um, I think it's I think that says 4:15 p.m. I'm going to check that for you too. So on March 28th, when we have Saturn sextile Pluto, yep, it's at 4:15 p.m. All right. Last but not least, March 30th, we have Venus moving into Taurus. She loves this. She's so happy. And I'm not going to tell you what comes next because then we have the full moon, and I'll be meeting with you for the full moon and talking about the energy then. But I will tell you that when I just was writing my planner for the second quarter, which covers April, May, and June, that whole week, it's like Venus moves into Taurus and all she wants is to like chill and feel settled and soothed. And that is not how the week looks. Plus, we have the full moon again blasting us on the first of the month. Um, happening. Let me just tell you when that is. Oh my goodness. April Fools. We have the full moon happening in Libra at 12 degrees 21 minutes. That'll be at 8:12 p.m. I will see you back here then, and I guarantee you we're going to be having a different conversation. I'm probably not going to be sitting here quite as chill and mellow as I have been tonight. Just because the energy is picking up. We're going to be in fire. We're going to be in go, go, go. We're going to be in forward motion. I can't wait to hear the developments that are great for you and for the world, even if things are rocky and shaky and difficult and charged at first. We can only get through this together. We only have ourselves and each other. So please take care of yourself, take care of your people, take care of your heart. Bring yourself back to wholeness and connection and love in your field. Use your intuition. Get out of your thinking head. Get out of your anger. Get out of your fear states. Get out of your victim consciousness and be here. Be with us as we bring this new consciousness to the earth. I'm here for it. Okay, I will see you next time. Take care out there.